Erev Tov, Rabbi Prague.
ערב טוב, ערב טוב, מה שלומך?
בסדר, מה שלומך, רב פראג?
כל השבוע אני חצי יום מכין לשבת, אתה מבין? מה אכפת לי? It's good to be busy in something you enjoy, זה בשבילי זה העיקר, אתה מבין? אני אספר לך סיפור מאוד מעניין. קראתי, ממש היום קראתי, יש לי פה ספר, בקיץ יש לי זמן לקרוא הרבה יותר, באנגלית יש רבי גולדווסר, שמעת אותו פעם, גולדווסר?
Sure, שמעתי עליו. He used to speak, הוא היה מדבר עם נחם סיגל, אני חושב, לפני הזמבר. He gave הלכה יומית, משהו שכזה.
He wrote a book in English שנקרא It Happened in Heaven. This book was published in 1995. In 1996, this is the Hebrew edition. Basically, the whole סיפור זה his personal experience, כשהוא היה ברוסיה, דברים מעניינים, לא דברים, מופתים בשמיים, אבל דברים תשמע מה שהוא מספר. הוא מספר שהייתה אישה by the name of Anne. היא גדלה בפנסילבניה, קצת בניו יורק. She got married. She moved to San Francisco. 25 years later, she's coming back to New York for a visit because her sister lived in New York. She had a wonderful week. And Sunday, the last day before she flew back, she decided to visit the old East Side, the old East Side. She goes on Ludlow Street, Eldridge Street, הכל היא אומרת נראה בדיוק אותו דבר. תשמע טוב, the peddlers, the old building, you know what the East Side is. She goes into one of the side streets and she's passing a store of religious articles. And in the window, there was a display of a Torah mantle, beautiful velvet, silver menorah on top, and an inscription on the bottom, and she's stunned. She runs into the store. Where did you get it? Is it for sale? She was the hyper. So the lady there realized that she says, no, why are you asking? It's not really, it's not for sale. And she basically, she didn't ask any questions. She had to leave. She comes home. I'm telling Larry a story about a lady in the late 60s or maybe early 70s. She saw on the Lower East Side a Torah cover, Ashkenazi Torah cover from velvet. And she was very excited. She goes into the store. She asked too many questions and they told her, you have nothing to do with it. She calls Rabbi Goldwasser in here. And she says to him, do me a favor. Please go to the store and find out where did they get it and is it for sale or not. Listen to the story she tells him on the phone. She says to him, I had a sister and a brother by the name of Nachum. He became 18 towards the end of World War II. And he was drafted to the American Army. Says, I remember that in the dark, we waved goodbye to him. He's standing on the deck. She's waving to us. He's holding his tefillin. And of course, for my parents, they were afraid every day. Sure enough. Someone has to mute. Someone has to mute. Anyway, Shomea, after a few months, we got a telegram from the American Army. We saw to notify you that your brother Nachum was killed with a bomb that fell in his platoon. Says my parents went crazy. Okay. After a few months, my father decided to dedicate the Torah cover, to a shul, and what I saw in the store reminded me, I'm pretty sure this is what my family gave to the shul, and here it's hanging in the store. She tells Rabbi Goldwasser, maybe you can go and find out. She told him the name of her brother, Nachum, the name of her father, and to see if the inscription fits. He goes to the Lower East Side. She gave him good directions. He comes to the store, and this Torah mantle was not displayed anymore in the window. He felt very funny. He goes in, and he says to the sales lady, yesterday there was a maroon brown Torah cover. Where is it? She asked him, this is not for sale. But he says, I just have to know. I'm not investigating. I'm just asking. Two men walked from the back from the office, I guess. And they realize he's a rabbi. So the father says to him, come with me to the office. My office. The man says to him, when we got it, I suspected that this was a stolen Torah mantle, but someone offered it to me. Asking him now, what is your interest in the Torah mantle? Listen, he tells him the exact story. My relative lost a brother in World War II. The family dedicated Torah mantle to the shul. This Torah mantle reminded her that she just wants to know if this is her family's. The man takes out the Torah mantle, and the inscription underneath was exactly the inscription that she gave him. Nachum ben whatever. And he says to the man, this is the only thing they remember about the brother. And I buy it at any price. The man suddenly puts his head down and starts to weep. He's crying for a couple of minutes. And the rabbi didn't know what did he touch. Listen to this. The man says to him, let me tell you a story. He says, I am the only survivor of my family. This was, my parents were killed. My siblings were killed. And what bothered me the most is that I have no recollection. I have nothing. I don't have a paper, a picture of my parents. I decided 15 years after I was liberated that I'm going back to Poland, to Galicia, and I'm going to visit my town. Since my family had a factory, we had a nice house, maybe I'll come back with something to remember my family. As I came, my old house was destroyed, the new house was standing there. The factory is not the same factory. I was very disappointed. The last day of my visit, as I'm going back to my hotel, I was passing a photo shop owned by a local Gentile. Sure enough, I see in the window a portrait of my mother. Can you believe it? It's 15 years after the Holocaust. He says, I didn't know what to do. Should I tell him why I'm here? And I'll tell him I'll pay you whatever you want. But maybe he's anti-Semite, he will give it to me. Should I make up a story that I like it? He says, I decided this is my mother, and I'm going to tell him the truth. He walks into the store, he tells him, I grew up in this town, everyone was destroyed. I came here to find something to connect me to my family. And the picture in your window is a portrait of my mother. Now I buy it from you. The guy takes the picture and he says to him, take it and don't pay me for it, it's yours.
Wow.
Says the man to Rabbi Goldwasser, when you told me the story about the Torah mantle, it reminded me exactly what happened in this little town, and he gave it to me free. So, Rabbi, I'm giving you the Torah mantle free.
Free.
Give it back to the system. It's a very powerful story. You know? Sometimes in life, everything looks so bleak. And suddenly, if you read the Haftarah of this week, the Haftarah is Yeshayahu Perek Nun, going into the now. But Tomer Tzion Azavani Hashem, the Jewish people claim Hashem forgot us. Look at Jewish history. Babylonia, Persia, the Greeks, the Romans, the Inquisition, the Crusaders, the Holocaust. Hashem Shchachani, it looks like Hashem forgot me. And Hashem gives us a gift, the state of Israel. As a kid, I remember, everyone starts me, I'm just speaking from my point of view. This is it, Baruch Hashem, Am Yisrael as a land, we have everything. Until all the problems begin, yeah? 67 was another big gift. And the 73 and many other in between, Lebanon, and etc. And now 2 years ago. So where are we going? Looks like whatever the Navi describes as the Jewish people felt in Galut, this is what we feel now. Well, what's next? Can anyone predict 10 years from now? No. The answer is the Navi says, B'Shem Hashem, Atishkach Isha Ula Merechet Ben Bekra. Can a mother ever forget a child? It's difficult. Looks difficult. Looks dark, but the Haftarah ends this week with Ki Nicham Hashem Tzion.
Wait, you said it was Yeshayahu Nun? No, I don't think so. That's why I looked it up just because I wanted to see it.
But it's not good. It's not Yeshayahu Nun Pasuk Aleph, it's the middle of Nun. Give me a second, I'll tell you. Just a minute, right here. Yeshayahu Nun Aleph.
Nun Aleph. Okay, to say it.
Sorry. Yeshayahu Memtet Pasuk Yud Aleph. Memtet Pasuk Yud Dalet. Memtet 14 till Yeshayahu Nun Aleph Pasuk Gimel. See? Batomer Tzion Azavani Hashem B'Hashem Shchachani. Then Yeshayahu B'Shem Hashem Sei Saviv Einayich U'Rei Kulam Nikbetzu Ba'u Lach. People are coming back home. Chai ani Neum Hashem Ki Kulam Ka'adi Tilbeshi U'Tekashrim Kekala. Then he continues, yes. Ve'ayu melachim omnaich, kings are going to serve you. And etc., yes. And Perek Nun. Eize sefer kritut imchem did I give your mother, the Jewish people, the divorce paper? It's very, very comforting, but in between, of course, it's a preconditioned gift. And when we abused it or misused it or didn't use it the right way, we have the same questions again. Look how it ends. Larry, look how it ends in Nun, Pasuk Bet. Habitu el Avraham Avichem ve'al Sarah techol olchem. Look at your lineage, ki echad kreativ v'avarcheu v'harbeu.
Wait, where is that? In which perek?
The next perek. This is perek Yeshayahu Nun Aleph.
Oh, Nun Aleph. Okay, I'm just.
Aleph Nun Aleph Habitu el Pasuk Gimel Bet Gimel. הביטו על אברהם אביכם ולשרה תחוללכם, כי אחד קראתיו ואברכהו בהרבהו. כי ניחם השם ציון, ניחם כל חורבותיה. Many times in history, even the state of Israel, we looked, this is it. But no one can predict 10 years from now, no one can predict what happens is going to happen here. But it's the same questions. Everything is covered with dark clouds. The story I told you before, a man thought there's no trace to his family in his hometown. As he's going back to his hotel, he saw the portrait of his mother in a photo shoot. This young lady from San Francisco is walking on the Lower East Side. 20 years after her brother was killed in World War II, and she saw the Torah cover that her father dedicated to the shul. No problem there. But the point is, it's not Netanyahu and our dear president, it's not this, it's not that, it's us. If we remember the psukim of the Navi, if we remember what Hashem really wants from us, I mean, if we really read the psukim, this week's parasha without being afraid to read what it says, yes. Okay, you remember last night we started something, so now we go. Please open Shulchan Aruch Siman Shin Chaf Chet 328, which is the Siman of Pikuach Nefesh. Shin Chaf Chet. Look at Seif Dalet, Shin Chaf Chet, Seif Dalet. The entire Siman 328 is the Siman of the Halachot of Pikuach Nefesh. Listen good. Makah shel Halal. Person got an internal, strong Makah normally is a strike or not tzricha omed. You don't need a doctor to ask him. אפילו אי שם בקיאים, there are no doctors, וחולה אינו אומר כלום. We spoke this morning, we mentioned this morning, that if 10 doctors who are experts are saying, Mister, you're perfect, your condition is perfect. He says, but I feel that if I'm not eating, let's say Yom Kippur or whatever, something is going to happen to me. We listen to him. Why? As the Gemara says, Lev Yodea Marat Nafsho, a person knows here, if the injury that he has is such an internal injury, I don't need a doctor, I don't need a patient, עושים לו כל שרגילים לעשות לו נכון. Our focus is this phrase. מה פירוש כל שרגילים לעשות לו נכון? מה פירוש? Says that this phrase comes from the Ramban. Listen to the Mishnah Berurah. כל שרגילים ממאכלים ברפואות, רמב"ן הוא משמע, אף על פי שאין בו סכנה במניעת הדבר ההוא. כיוון שהחולים יש בו סכנה, יש בדבר קצת צורך, רגילים לעשות לו בחול, עושים לו גם בשבת. Let's take a very practical case. A fellow had an open heart surgery on Friday. It's Shabbat morning, is definitely classified as chole sheyesh bo sakana. So of course, whatever medicine you have to give him, whatever doctor say, fine. This man, for the last 60 years of his life, starts his day with a brewed cup of coffee. This, like, you know, you go on the highway, you fill up your car with gas. The gas for his day is a good cup of coffee, the smell of the coffee, Now, even if you don't give him the coffee, it's not going to worsen the situation. Yes? It's not like medicine or food that he must have. But everyone understands that it's going to perk him up. Yes? Listen again what the Ramban is saying. עושים לו כל מה שרגילים לעשות בכל, משמע אפילו שאין בו סכנה במניעת הדבר ההוא. כיוון שהחול יש בו סכנה. Since he's in a situation of חולה שיש בו סכנה, now everyone understands, each one of us visited many sick people, unfortunately. You know that the mood and the excitement and the inner desire of the patients to continue to push ahead is part of the recovery. So if this guy always starts his day with a good mood cup of coffee, can we on Shabbat? Of course you can tell a nurse to do it. Can you brew coffee for him or not? He's not going to die from the coffee and nothing will happen to him if he doesn't have coffee. But everyone agrees that a brewed cup of coffee for this patient is going to make him feel better. Says the Ramban, believe it or not? Yes. Yes. Why? Why? The man is choleh sheyesh bo sakana, yes. We have to do whatever it takes, yes. Whatever it takes to make him to improve the situation. Everything he needs meat, cook for him, whatever. You understand that, but why the coffee? I'm using the example of the coffee.
Rabbi Prague, could something from last night, could you say over the Reb Chaim the two?
I'm getting
this is going to be the Reb Chaim. Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, now at least
eventually, I'm just showing you. Look further in the Mishnah Berurah. Says Mishnah Berurah, ועיין בביאור הלכה שהבאנו מכמה פוסקים, הסביר עליו שאפילו במקום שצריך חילול, אין מחללים על ידי ישראל אלא בדבר שיש לחוש בו שאם לא יעשו יכבד עליו חוליות. אבל כל שברור שאין במניעת אותו דבר חשש סכנה, אף על פי שצריך, אין עושים אותו בשבת, אלא על ידי עינויים. כמה זה משנה ברורה, and he says for Ashkenazim, the reason I say Ashkenazim is, because Chacham Ovadia Yosef strongly is relying on the Ramban. He says if we know for sure that this is going to make him feel more excited, more this, more that, mutar. Says the Mishnah Berurah, why? Why? It's not medicine, it's not food. Very famous machlok. Now let me ask you a question on the Ramban. Okay? Remember again, we just learned Siman Shin Chavchet Seif Dalet. It's according to the Ramban. Choleh sheyesh bo sakana, you do whatever it takes to make him feel better, not only medically, anything that he is used to, you do. Go to Siman Tav Reish Yud Chet, Larry, 618. Tav Reish Yud Chet. This is it. Chod Yom Kippur.
Rabbi, can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. If a Hatzalah member arrives and he says, I need a cup of coffee before I work on this person, are they permitted to give him a cup of coffee?
So, I'm sure you heard the question. If it's yours question, the question was presented to the chief rabbi of Yerushalayim, Jolty in the following way, but this is serious, not a cup of coffee. He said like this. On Shabbat, a real expert surgeon was rushed to the hospital. The emergency operation was a complicated operation. He was a religious man, sincerely religious, not the rest. And he said like this, in order for me to be really calm, I have to smoke a cigarette. Am I allowed to smoke a cigarette? And this is the surgeon, really? So you took it on the Hatzalah. This is almost a joke. This is a lollipop. Yes, if the Hatzalah man says, I love a lollipop. I love also lollipops. This is a surgeon who has to operate on the heart. He has to be precise, which means he has to be very calm. So it says, Rabbi Yashiv says, and he spoke to Rabbi Zalman and Rabbi Yashiv, not to the local. See, this is the point. If he tells us he needs a puff, another puff, fine. If he says he has to smoke, it's difficult to say yes for him because everyone understands that the minute you have the cigarette and you finish it, the beginning is important. If he says I have to finish it, this is the only way I'm calm, no, you have to, of course, the answer would be yes. The main, so they told him to give you a general yes by every operation, we cannot, but to tell you it's mutar, like we do today with everything Shabbat and Kashrut, we think that chole, there is a Shabbat there, yes? ככה אמרו לו, if you can really measure how much you need, and you are in control of the cigarette, היא מותר. ככה זה. Now listen carefully. I'm using an example because unfortunately, very often, when it's our job, me like a rabbi, we have to teach people those halachot to know what to do, what not to do. What to do is more important, but people rush to million-mile leniencies that if a kid broke his hand, the grandmother and the mother and the grandfather and the two uncles have to go to the hospital because they are both surgeons and they are doctors. And did you ever go to the hospital with your broken leg? You wait 3 hours in the emergency room, yes? And the grandmother, I know, is very nervous. Let him sit in the house or take a little nap or sit outside and talk to a friend and play sheshbesh instead of coming on Shabbat. And instead of driving the father's car, you can call a Uber because it makes a difference if you take him now or in half an hour. But human nature is not so. Hey, Jeffrey, are you there, Jeffrey? Jeffrey remembers it 30 years ago we spoke about it, yes? What has to be done must be done the best way. But use what's called common sense. Yes. Anyway, so the answer to your question is, if the Hatzalah man, it's difficult to understand why the Hatzalah man would need a coffee, but in the case of Rav Zolty, you can hear it very well. The man is going to operate a very, very delicate operation, and he feels that he really needs.
But it's the same concept that you have on Yom Kippur. Anytime that you have a fast, if all right, you have to eat. That doesn't mean you're going to have an 8-course dinner like in a restaurant.
Yeah, but this is exactly now I'm going to show you the Shulchan Aruch and exactly the point you made. Open Siman Tav Reish Yud Chet. Seif Zayin. Tav Reish Yud Chet, Seif Zayin. כשמאכילים את העוברות, this is Yom Kippur, when a pregnant woman has to eat, או את החולה, please listen good, מאכילים אותו מעט מעט, כדי שלא יצטרף לשיעור. If you remember, Rani Talu told us that he came to Sha'arei Tzion with a bags of a little bit of salmon, a little bit of protein, a little bit. So he ate 10 times during the day. Every time he ate exactly what the Shulchan Aruch is saying. לכך מאכילים אותו כשני שלישי ביצה בינונית, which is approximately an hour and a half each time. וישבו and make space כדי אכילת 4 ביצים. You remember this morning you asked Larry, what is this shiur? The best if we can, 8-9 minutes, not 7-4. Now this is Halacha Shulchan Aruch, it's a Gemara. Okay, now here's the question. I just came with you from where? From Siman Shin Chavchet. The Ramban tells me that if he's a chole, you can even make coffee for him. Here the Shulchan Aruch says, when you're giving food to survive, give him small amounts. How can you tell me over there? It's an open contradiction. Understand here, it says, give him small portions unless it needs more. The fellow in Sharet Zion 25 years ago.
But it's the same thing like the cigarette. Have the cigarette, but only smoke it 2 puffs.
A man comes to me, his wife is 8 months. Very often, on the 8th month, especially if you fast, a woman goes into early labor. And the doctor was afraid, so he told her she has to drink. She's asking the doctor, how much should I drink? She says, he tells her, I'm making it up now. 30 ounces during the day. Fine. She didn't have to drink 5 cups of 6 ounces every day, yes? She took to shul 30 ounces, it was 40 years, and every 8-10 minutes she drank 2 ounces of water, finished. Yes? A man in my shul had a new kidney 2 weeks before Yom Kippur. He came with 40 ounces of water. I'm asking for a contradiction now. The Ramban told us, give him as much as he needs, even if it's not connected directly to his health. See, here we're talking about food, Larry. Why is he telling me to give him small quantities? See, look at Seif Chet, the same. It's not my question, of course. It's a famous contradiction. V'yashku pachot mo'oto shiur. Here the Ramban is telling me, do whatever you want, yes? So far, so. Look, Larry, look a second, Seif Chet.
And what's Siman again?
The same Siman, Tav Resh Yud Chet, 618.
Okay.
Seif Chet. מי שאחזו בולמוס, והוא חולי שבא מחמת רעבון. You read many people in concentration camps. If you're very, very hungry, suddenly the color of your face changes, your eyesight. מאכילים אותו. על יום כיפור. אי שם מאכל של היתר, מאכילים אותו מאכל איסור. Listen good now. ואם יש כאן 2 מיני איסורים, אחד חמור מחברו, מאכילים אותו הקל הקל. If you have 2 levels of איסורים, and this is my example only, one would be a cheeseburger, yes, and one would be fruit from Israel, the Truma and Maaser was not taken. Give him always the lesser of it. Here is an open contradiction. In one place you're telling me you can give him as much as he needs and even think that would not worsen his situation. It makes him feel much better, give it to him. And here, hey, be careful. Here comes the Reb Chaim I just told you.
But but then, excuse me, just going back, but in the first one we read in, what was it, 328?
Yeah,
he says he has the lashon of ragil.
Okay.
That was I found that an interesting. Based on what we're talking, ragil. What does ragil mean?
Okay, טוב. בוא נראה. אוקיי, רגע. בוא תראה עכשיו. Look a second. Give me half a second. You look now. Look now on Siman Tav Reshut Chet. Listen carefully. Look how every word in the Shulchan Aruch is shining. Listen carefully. Chole shetzarich le'achol. You see Seif Aleph?
Which seif are you in now?
Seif Aleph. Tav Reshut Chet 618 Aleph. חולה שצריך לאכול, אם יש שם רופא בקיא, אפילו הוא גוי, שאומר, תקשיב לארי, אם לא יאכילו אותו, אפשר שיכבד עליו החולי ויסתכל. Says Reb Chaim Brisk, what is the Shulchan Aruch saying? Here he's talking about someone that currently is not in a sakana situation. But the doctor says if you don't give him to it, he is going to be in a matzav of sakana. Then give him small portions, make separations between each achila. But in Siman Shin Chavchet, we spoke about a man that had the heart operation today. We spoke to a man who had a liver transplant yesterday. So Reb Chaim Brisk, they claim it's based on the language of the chinuch. That if he was diagnosed as a chole sheyesh bo sakana, you give him and you don't make separations. Yes, all this, you see this.
See, but you see, the first, when you have when you're chole sheyesh bo sakana, that's one thing. But if you're and that's, you're actually in the moment, you're sick. The other one, and that's a vadai. The other one is maybe he will get better, maybe he won't get better. So how could you? So it makes what he's saying is perfectly sensible.
Okay, so this is why you have to do it. You see, din chole b'yom kippur bo asara seifu. There are many, many details, and this is why it's extremely important to talk to serious rabbis. I mean, not look at Seif Bet. Look at this. רופא אומר צריך. One doctor says if he doesn't eat, he's going to be in מצב סכנה. ורופא אחד אומר אינו צריך, מאכילים אותו. Yes? Why? זה ספק. ספק פיקוח נפש, מאכילים אותו. Yes? But, listen to this now, please listen. סעיף ג' ואם החולה, the patient, ורופא אחד עמו, and a doctor supports the patient, אומרים שאינו צריך. Remember, the patient is not elucidating. The person is here. I'm telling you, I feel good. ורופא אחד אומר צריך. Again, the patient says no. The doctor supports him, ורופא אחד אומר צריך, או שהחולה אינו אומר כלום. Here it is. Patient says, I can tell. One doctor says, צריך. ושניים אומרים אינו צריך, אין מאכילים אותו. Why? But one doctor says, you need. And if you know the rules is, אין הולכים בפיקוח נפש אחר הרוב. You don't follow majority. Here it's really 2 against 1. One says no. The answer is, listen carefully. We have to create a situation that this patient is safek pikuach nefesh. If it's 2 that say no and 1 that says yes, is not classified as safek. However, if you have 10 that says no and 2 are saying yes, then you give it to it. But 2 are establishing the situation of the doctor. Now, it's needless to say, I'm using an example only. Many years ago, we had a kid who went to Flatbush, he became a doctor, became a cardiologist. This was, when he became a cardiologist, this was the time my father-in-law had a stroke, this, that. And it was very nice. He came to visit. And after he read the charts and this, he says to me, I really think that this should be done to you. I'm laughing now. But the answer is, you just graduated medical school and you got, yes. My father and his doctors are doctors that are 25 years in practice. And they have a very good name. This is, when we say 2 against 1 or 2 against 2 or 2 against 10, we're talking more or less.
The same
Exactly. If you have a foot doctor that says, I don't think there is a sakana, it's not a sakana for the foot, neither for the... But we're talking people in the field of general medicine, people in the field. So again, 2 are saying no, and 1 says yes. It's a no, because we have to establish sakana. The minute you have 2 that say yes, even if 100 are saying no, it's a yes, because 2 are establishing the matzav safek. This is really the entire simani. And now we understand why further he says, when you give, try to give less. Why? Because this is only preventive medicine. In a preventive medicine situation, says the Chaim Briz, you have to try to minimize. But of course, you do know in real life, day-to-day life, there are 2 or 3 groups of people. Some take it very light. Okay, Safek Sakana, this. Because Shabbat doesn't mean too much to them in Yom Kippur. Some take the opposite extreme. And all the men, the doctors really told me yesterday in Yom Kippur, came to the Chazon Ish crying, and he said, Rabbi, all my life I was fasting, how can I eat? Chazon Ish told him, we are soldiers in the army of Hashem. The same general who told me to fast tells you not to fast. So if you would fast, you are not listening to what you have to do. People think, how can I do it? This is why the Shulchan Aruch says, that if you eat on Yom Kippur, you have to say Birkat Hamazon, you have to say Ya'aleh V'Yavo, yes. And if it's Shabbat, Yom Kippur falls on Shabbat, some say you have to make Yiddush Kiddush, Machloket, you have to make Yiddush Shabbat. But again, it's not simple for people who all their lives. In my neighborhood on my street, there was an old, very famous Reb told the first Ish Tzadik Be'emet. He said all day Tefillin till sunset. And one Rosh Hashanah, he didn't feel good. Doctors came, he has to be evacuated. He said, Ich gehe nicht. I'm not going. He came to Rav Zalman Auerbach. He went 2 blocks down and puts his hand under the rabbi's hand and he says, Romira Ruvgen, let's go together to the ambulance. He says, when are you coming? He says, I am coming with you to the hospital. He walked him up to them. Then he realized that Rav Zalman with Khaled said to him, okay, go back, I'll go myself. But this is what the man couldn't see himself. The answer is, it's a challenge. And if you have to do it, you have to do it. But again, if you look at the religious community, some people who are very careful about Shabbat are reluctant. Some people keep Shabbat, but they take it easy. This is why we're learning Halakha. The Halakha is very clear guidelines. If anything that happens, if it looks, when the naked eye is serious, sudden strokes. Yeah, a good example is my personal doctor, a good friend of mine and his wife. My wife told me he was playing on Avenue L and he's 28, and he hears screaming from the ladies section. He runs upstairs, there's a doctor, a young girl passed out, 14, she's on the floor. He goes down, he takes a pulse, this, that. Meantime, Atzalah is coming. Hatzalah came, she opened already her eyes. And Hatzalah is preparing the girl to be evacuated to Maimonides. So he says to them, my name is Dr. Zemba. I feel that she doesn't have to go. Hatzalah told me respectfully, we have orders. Someone is pressing out. He says, you're 100% right always, but I'm a doctor here. And if you look, all the windows were closed. The air conditioning was not good. Okay, Hatzalah, they said, we have to take her. So he says, call your superior and say that Dr. Zemba is here. Dr. Zemba says, it's okay to stay here. And of course, he didn't take her. And he says to me, if I would not be there, they would take her to Maimonides. Are they Mechalei Shabbat? Of course not. Under normal circumstances, a young person is passing out. There's no reason. It's an internal type of, as a doctor, an experienced doctor, he can tell you that. Be'ezrat Hashem, tomorrow night we'll learn on Zoom on Parshat HaShavua, Parshat Eiker. Have a wonderful night, and tomorrow morning we're still learning.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you,
Good
Rabbi.
night, everybody.
Have a
Good
Rabbi
night,
Baruch.
everybody.
Other tough.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Good night.